The moment you realize that all the struggle, all the pushing, and all the forcing you've been doing hasn't been bringing you closer to what you truly want is a quiet, almost invisible awakening. You may have tried every manifestation technique, read every book, repeated every affirmation, and yet, somehow, the results never seem to align with your deepest desires. You are not failing. The truth is, you've been approaching life backwards. You've been trying to bend reality to your will, when the universe doesn't operate through sheer force. What if I told you that the reason you are struggling so much is not because you are weak, not because you are doing it wrong, but because you are listening to everything outside of you, and not listening to the only voice that truly matters, the one within. This is the place where your old self and your new self meet. Your old self is defined by effort, anxiety, and impatience. It wakes up every day thinking that more doing, more striving, and more controlling will finally bring relief, happiness, and success. It measures worth through results, external validation, and the illusion of progress. And yet, no matter how hard it works, it ends the day feeling exhausted, empty, and frustrated. The old self is trapped in the paradox of effort. The harder it tries, the farther away it feels from its desires. It is constantly at war with reality, constantly asking, why isn't this working? Now imagine a different self. This new self exists in the quiet spaces between thought and feeling, in the moments when you pause and really listen. This self doesn't force, it observes. It doesn't chase, it receives. It understands that reality is a mirror, reflecting back the state of alignment within. The new self recognizes that manifestation is not a battle to be won, but a dance to be embraced. It listens before it acts, it senses before it speaks, and it flows rather than fights. This isn't a fairy tale or wishful thinking. It's a practical, internal law of existence that governs the way energy, consciousness, and reality interact. The shift from the old self to the new self begins with awareness. You must first see the patterns that have kept you trapped, the cycles of stress, overthinking, and endless pushing. Many people mistake resistance for reality. They see the lack in their life and assume it is permanent. They look at others effortlessly living their dreams and feel envy, frustration, or despair. But here's the subtle truth. It is not reality that is blocking them, it is their own internal misalignment. The old self believes that more control equals more results. The new self knows that control is an illusion. Alignment is the reality-bending power. This awakening is not a sudden event. It's a quiet realization, often accompanied by a feeling of relief, a deep sense of recognition that you are not broken. It is an invitation to stop the struggle, to release the exhausting tension of trying to manipulate life, and to instead tune inward. The universe responds to energy, not effort. It responds to frequency, not force. When you are in a state of inner listening, when your mind is quiet and your heart is open, you begin to notice subtle shifts. Small doors open, opportunities appear, and things start to flow naturally. Life begins to feel lighter, not because the challenges disappear, but because you are no longer resisting them. The introduction of this inner listening is the first step toward mastery of your own reality. It is the bridge between what has been and what could be. It asks you to trust yourself, to trust your intuition, and to recognize that you are already equipped with everything you need to create the life you desire. The old self clings to method, to formula, to external validation. The new self understands that the real power has been inside all along, quiet, subtle, and infinitely wise. As you begin this journey, notice how your perspective begins to change. Notice the subtle relief of letting go. Notice the beauty of moving from constant struggle into natural flow. This is the doorway into the world of listening within. From here, you will explore the invisible patterns that have held you back, understand why traditional manifestation techniques often fail, and learn how to finally step into alignment with your highest reality. But first, you must be willing to pause, breathe, and simply listen. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you have always been, beneath the layers of striving, stress, and expectation. It is about shifting from trying to control reality to becoming an energetic magnet for the life that is waiting for you. The moment you stop struggling and start listening, you open the door to a reality where ease, clarity, and manifestation are not distant goals. They are your natural state. Most people are trapped in a struggle they don't even realize exists. On the surface, life may appear normal. They wake up, go to work, follow routines, and chase goals. Yet beneath it all, a quiet tension lingers. There is a sense that something is missing, that no matter how much they do, how much they strive, or how many manifestation hacks they try, life never quite lines up with their vision. This struggle is subtle, almost invisible, yet it shapes everything. The choices they make, the people they attract, and the reality they experience. It is not external circumstances that create this tension. It is the internal patterns, the unseen programming that runs silently in the background. The problem begins with the belief that life must be forced into shape. Society, culture, and even the self-help industry have conditioned people to believe that effort equals results. If you want more money, work harder. If you want love, chase it. If you want success, push relentlessly. And while effort is important in the physical realm, in the energetic and spiritual realms, force is often the enemy of manifestation. You can push, pull, and hustle all you want, but if your energy is misaligned, reality simply mirrors that misalignment. The harder you try, the more resistance you create, and the more the universe seems to deny you the very things you desire. Subconscious programming plays a central role in this struggle. From childhood, most people absorb limiting beliefs. I am not enough. I must work for approval. Life is a constant battle. These beliefs become invisible filters through which all experiences are processed. Every setback, disappointment, or challenge is not just an event. It is a reinforcement of these hidden narratives. And the mind, always seeking evidence, interprets reality in a way that confirms these patterns. This is why manifestation techniques often fail for people who follow them mechanically. Affirmations, vision boards, and scripting can only work if the inner landscape is aligned. Without clearing the subconscious, the old patterns keep recreating the same outcomes over and over. Emotional misalignment is another invisible barrier. Many people pursue their desires while holding hidden resistance, fear, doubt, or a sense of unworthiness. They may consciously want abundance, love, or freedom, yet subconsciously they feel undeserving of these things. This creates a silent conflict between intention and vibration. The universe does not respond to what you say you want, it responds to the energy you radiate. If there is tension, impatience, or fear under the surface, manifestation becomes a battle. You are trying to move in one direction while your energy pulls in another. This is why so many well-intentioned seekers feel like their efforts are met with emptiness or delay. Contrast helps us see the pattern clearly. Imagine two individuals seeking the same goal. The first is constantly pushing, trying to manipulate circumstances, and seeking validation from the outside. The second moves with awareness, checks in with their inner guidance, and releases the need to control outcomes. Both want the same result, yet their experiences are radically different. The first feels frustration, exhaustion, and disappointment. The second experiences subtle alignment, opportunities flowing effortlessly, and a quiet sense of trust. This contrast is not luck or coincidence, it is the result of inner versus outer orientation. One is externally driven, the other internally attuned. One struggles, the other flows. The irony is that struggle often disguises itself as productivity or discipline. People wear exhaustion as a badge of honor, believing that relentless effort is proof of their commitment. But the universe does not reward struggle, it rewards alignment. The key difference is subtle but profound. Struggle is effort without resonance. Alignment is energy moving in harmony with desire. When you begin to notice this distinction, a new perspective emerges. You start to see that every moment of resistance, doubt, or overthinking is a signal, not a failure. It is a guide pointing you toward the places where your energy is out of sync. Many seekers reach a breaking point before they realize this truth. They try harder, fail, and feel frustration deepen. Yet that moment of exhaustion is often the doorway to awakening. It is here that awareness begins to shift. You start asking different questions. Instead of asking, "Why isn't this working?" you begin to ask, "What part of me is blocking this? What am I resisting within myself?" These questions are transformative because they move the focus inward, away from external manipulation and toward energetic mastery. The moment you direct attention inward, the struggle starts to dissolve, replaced by curiosity, receptivity, and quiet observation. The struggle you are experiencing is not punishment, it is an invitation. It is the universe's way of showing you where your energy is misaligned and where your focus is misplaced. By observing the patterns of your old self, the pushing, forcing, overthinking, and doubting, you gain clarity about the inner work that must be done. You begin to recognize that manifestation is not about more effort, it is about resonance. It is not about convincing the world to match your desires, it is about adjusting your vibration to naturally attract what is already aligned with you. By the end of this section, the realization should settle like a quiet whisper. The struggle is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. It exists because of invisible forces, subconscious programs, and emotional misalignment, but it can be transformed. The path forward is no longer about trying harder, it is about listening deeper. The stage is set to explore the next layer of transformation, the power of listening within, the place where resistance melts away, alignment naturally emerges and manifestation becomes effortless. The moment you begin to understand the power of listening within, everything changes. This is where the shift from struggle to flow begins, where the old self, the self defined by effort, resistance, and constant striving, steps aside and the new self, the self attuned to inner guidance and subtle energy, takes the lead. Listening within is not just a practice. It is a state of consciousness, a way of being that aligns thought, emotion, and energy with the vibration of your desires. It is the secret that most manifestation guides never fully explain, yet it is the cornerstone of creating a reality that truly resonates with your soul. To listen within, you must first understand the difference between thinking and sensing. Thinking is the domain of the mind, which constantly evaluates, analyzes, and controls. The mind asks questions like, "How will I get this?" or "What steps should I take?" Thinking tends to produce stress, pressure, and resistance because it assumes control must come from effort. Sensing, on the other hand, is the language of the soul. It is subtle, intuitive, and immediate. Sensing doesn't plan, it receives. It doesn't demand, it observes. It tells you in whispers which actions feel aligned, which opportunities are resonant, and which choices honor your highest self. The mastery of manifestation begins with the ability to prioritize sensing over thinking. When you practice listening within, you start noticing the quiet signals your body, mind, and intuition provide. A gut feeling that nudges you forward. A sense of heaviness when something isn't right. A subtle excitement when a thought or action is aligned with your higher self. These are not coincidences, they are the universe speaking through you. The challenge is that, for most people, the mind is so loud that these signals are drowned out. Listening within requires creating space, stillness, reflection, and mindfulness. It requires trusting the subtle cues rather than the loud insistence of the ego or external expectations. Contrast again illuminates the transformation. The old self reacts to life. It chases, it worries, it forces outcomes. The new self responds to life. It observes, it discerns, and it chooses in harmony with inner truth. One moves through life from a place of lack. The other moves from a place of abundance. One struggles against reality, the other co-creates with it. When you learn to listen within, you start to inhabit this latter state more consistently. You begin to understand that the universe is not a puzzle to be solved but a mirror reflecting your inner energy. Practical integration of listening within begins with awareness practices. Meditation, journaling, and breath work are gateways into your internal landscape. Meditation allows the mind to quiet, making space for subtle intuition to surface. Journaling turns abstract thoughts into tangible insights, revealing patterns and hidden beliefs that may have been creating resistance. Breathwork connects you to your physical body, grounding energy and tuning your vibration. These practices are not about forcing outcomes. They are about creating the internal environment where aligned manifestations naturally occur. Listening within also requires a delicate balance between observation and action. Many seekers fall into the trap of passivity, confusing inner listening with inaction. True listening is active awareness. It senses, evaluates, and then moves in alignment. The universe often responds to small, intentional steps taken from a place of clarity and resonance. When action flows from alignment rather than anxiety or pressure, it becomes effortless, and opportunities unfold as if life itself conspires in your favor. The energy you bring to action matters more than the action itself. Another critical aspect of listening within is emotional calibration. Your emotions are indicators of alignment or resistance. Excitement, curiosity, love, and calm are signs that you are on the right path. Anxiety, doubt, frustration, and heaviness signal resistance or misalignment. By learning to observe your emotional state without judgment, you gain a feedback system that guides every choice, every interaction, and every manifestation attempt. This subtle tuning allows you to course correct in real time, adjusting your focus, energy, and attention until you are resonating with the life you desire. One of the most powerful lessons of listening within is that timing is part of alignment. The old self tries to force results according to schedules, deadlines, and expectations. The new self understands that the universe unfolds in perfect timing, often in ways that are beyond human comprehension. Patience is not about waiting passively, it is about cultivating trust in the process and remaining energetically aligned while life organizes itself around your intentions. Trust is cultivated by observing evidence of small shifts, synchronicities, intuitive nudges, and the gradual easing of inner tension. Each of these moments is a confirmation that listening works, even when external results are not immediately visible. The transition from forcing to listening is deeply liberating. Suddenly, manifestation is no longer a struggle, it is a co-creative dance. You start to see that your desires are not distant goals to be conquered but reflections of your internal resonance. By tuning into the subtle signals, aligning thoughts, emotions and actions, and releasing the need to control outcomes, you enter a state where the universe naturally responds. The old patterns of resistance fade, replaced by a flow that feels effortless, yet profoundly powerful. Stories of transformation illustrate this power vividly. Someone may have spent years trying to manifest abundance, feeling blocked at every turn. By learning to listen within, they notice small intuitive nudges, a change in thought, a slight shift in daily routine, a decision that feels right energetically. Over time, these small adjustments lead to dramatic shifts in reality. Relationships improve, opportunities appear, and synchronicities multiply. The key is not the external events themselves but the internal alignment that makes these events possible. Listening within is not a one-time practice. It is a lifelong discipline. It requires patience, awareness, and a willingness to trust your own inner wisdom above all external voices. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, it is no longer something you do, it becomes who you are. Your reality shifts not because you are trying harder, but because you are vibrating at a frequency that effortlessly attracts what you desire. Ultimately, the power of listening within is the doorway to true manifestation. It transforms life from a struggle into a flow, from effort into alignment, and from fear into trust. It is the bridge between your old self, caught in cycles of resistance, and your new self, co-creating effortlessly with the universe. By cultivating this internal listening, you unlock a power that is quiet, subtle, and infinitely transformative. Stepping into your shifted reality is where the transformation moves from understanding to embodiment. After recognizing the struggle and discovering the power of listening within, the next step is to integrate these insights into daily life, to live them rather than just think about them. This is where subtle inner shifts translate into tangible outer change, where alignment becomes action, and where manifestation moves from theory into lived experience. The process is not about doing more, it is about doing differently, moving with resonance instead of resistance, and choosing from a place of clarity rather than compulsion. The first key principle of stepping into a shifted reality is conscious awareness. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions all carry energetic weight, and every moment offers an opportunity to recalibrate. Begin by noticing where tension arises, whether it's frustration at a stalled project, impatience with another person, or anxiety about the future. These emotional triggers are signals, pointing to areas where alignment is slipping. Instead of reacting, pause. Breathe. Observe without judgment. This simple act of noticing is profoundly powerful. It interrupts unconscious patterns and opens the door for conscious choice. Next, integrate practices that consistently attune your vibration to the reality you desire. Meditation is the foundation, allowing your mind to quiet and your inner guidance to surface. Journaling helps clarify your intentions and uncover subconscious blocks. Visualization and embodiment exercises, when combined with emotional alignment, create a resonant frequency that naturally attracts corresponding circumstances. Importantly, these practices are not about forcing outcomes. They are about creating an energetic environment where your desires are a natural extension of your state of being. Every thought, word, and action becomes a tool of alignment rather than struggle. Emotional calibration is central to this integration. Your feelings are your compass. When you experience excitement, joy, curiosity, or calm, you are signaling alignment with your shifted reality. When you feel fear, frustration, or anxiety, you are noticing misalignment. The act of stepping fully into your shifted reality involves observing these emotions without judgment, adjusting your focus, and moving in ways that restore alignment. For example, if you feel anxious about a goal, rather than pushing harder, ask, where is my energy off? What belief is creating this tension? The answers may guide small, subtle actions that create powerful shifts. Action itself becomes radically different in a shifted state. The old self acts out of desperation, control, or obligation. Every move is heavy, tense, and forceful. The new self, aligned with inner guidance, takes intentional action, actions that feel right energetically. These steps are often smaller than you expect, but they carry immense impact. The universe rewards clarity and resonance, not volume or struggle. When action is born from alignment rather than anxiety, it unfolds with ease and often leads to synchronicities that feel miraculous. Opportunities appear not because you chase them, but because your vibration naturally attracts them. Trust is another pillar of stepping into your shifted reality. Fear of the unknown is natural, but it is also the greatest barrier to living aligned. The old self clings to control, trying to predict and manipulate every outcome. The new self embraces uncertainty, understanding that timing and orchestration are part of a larger intelligence. Trust is cultivated through repeated practice, observing small signs of alignment, noticing the flow of opportunities, and recognizing that resistance diminishes when you follow your inner guidance. Over time, this trust becomes unshakable, forming the foundation for consistent manifestation. Contrast framing is crucial in this stage. Imagine the old self reacting to a challenge. Frustration rises, tension tightens, and the struggle intensifies. Now imagine the new self in the same scenario. Awareness surfaces, emotions are observed, a small aligned step is taken, and the situation unfolds with clarity. The external circumstances may be similar, but the internal state makes all the difference. The shifted reality is not necessarily devoid of challenges, it is defined by the way you engage with them. Alignment transforms every experience, turning obstacles into guidance, setbacks into lessons, and delays into synchronistic timing. Another essential aspect is conscious language and thought. Your words and internal dialogue carry energy that influences your vibration. Instead of saying, "I can't," or "this isn't working," shift to language that reflects alignment. "I am learning," "I am open to guidance," or "I trust the process." Thoughts and words act as signals to the subconscious mind and the universe itself. When you consistently speak and think from a place of alignment, your reality begins to mirror this energetic coherence. This is not superficial positivity, it is deliberate resonance. Integration also means releasing the need for immediate results. The old self measures success by outcomes, often causing frustration when external results lag behind intention. The new self measures success by alignment, energy, and internal clarity. By letting go of attachment to timing and perfection, you create a fertile space for manifestation. Opportunities and results arise naturally, often in ways more expansive and unexpected than the mind could have designed. Patience in this context is not passive. It is active trust, a knowing that your aligned state is the true engine of creation. Community and environment can support this shift. Surrounding yourself with aligned individuals, absorbing inspiration, and minimizing energy-draining influences enhances the frequency of your reality. While manifestation is ultimately internal, external support acts as reinforcement. Observe how your energy changes in different environments, with different people, and in response to media consumption. Each choice to protect and elevate your energy strengthens your resonance with the shifted reality. Finally, stepping into a shifted reality is about embodiment. It is not enough to understand intellectually or practice sporadically. You must live it. You embody alignment in daily choices, in the energy you bring to interactions, in the emotions you allow yourself to feel, and in the trust you cultivate. The more consistently you inhabit this state, the more effortless and natural manifestation becomes. Life ceases to be a struggle and transforms into a co-creative dance, where each moment, each choice, and each thought contributes to the reality you are designing. By fully integrating these practices, awareness, emotional calibration, aligned action, trust, conscious language, patience, environment, and embodiment, you step out of the old self and fully inhabit your shifted reality. The external world reflects your internal state with perfect fidelity. Opportunities, relationships, abundance, and experiences begin to flow effortlessly, not because you forced them, but because you became the energetic match to the life you have always desired. As we arrive at the conclusion of this journey, the picture becomes clear. Manifestation is never about forcing, striving, or convincing reality to bend to your will. True creation begins within, in the quiet, often overlooked spaces where your thoughts, emotions, and energy align with the reality you desire. The old self, the one that struggled, pushed, and forced, was never the key to transformation. It was merely the signal, the reflection, pointing you toward a deeper truth, that ease, flow, and alignment are not optional, they are the foundation of every manifestation. Stepping into this new understanding allows you to finally release the tension of constant effort. The old patterns, overthinking, doubt, fear, and compulsion, no longer have the same grip on your life. Instead, you begin to operate from a place of trust, clarity, and resonance. The difference is profound. Where once frustration and resistance dominated, now curiosity, calm, and confidence guide your every move. Life no longer feels like a battle to be won. It becomes a co-creative experience, where your inner state directly shapes the outer world. The contrast between your old self and your new self is stark and illuminating. The old self measures worth through outcomes, clings to control, and suffers when reality does not conform to expectation. The new self measures alignment, flows with timing, and trusts that each moment carries purpose. Challenges remain, but they are no longer obstacles. They are signals, guidance, and opportunities for further alignment. Every experience becomes a tool to refine your energy and strengthen your connection with your highest self. This transformation is not theoretical. It is practical, tangible, and accessible. By cultivating inner listening, emotional calibration, aligned action, conscious language, and trust in timing, you become the energetic match to the reality you desire. You learn that manifestation is not about doing more, it is about being more. Being aligned, being aware, being present, and being open. When you embody this state consistently, life itself begins to orchestrate circumstances, relationships, and opportunities in ways that feel effortless yet profoundly powerful. As you step fully into this new way of being, remember, the universe responds to your energy, not your effort. The more you align internally, the more your external world reflects that alignment. The old self may still whisper doubts, but each time you choose listening over forcing, you reinforce the new reality you are creating. This is the final lesson. Creation is not about control, it is about resonance. The moment you stop struggling and start listening, the life you've been dreaming of is no longer distant. It is already within reach, unfolding naturally, in perfect timing, and in harmony with the energy you cultivate within yourself.